We'll now introduce the symbols of sharps and flats. This symbol here is called a sharp. It looks a bit like a squished hashtag, but it's actually called a sharp. And its function is that it raises a note by a half step. In this case, it takes the note C and it raises it up by 1/2 step. This symbol here that looks like a lowercase b that got a little squished is called a flat. The function of the flat is that it lowers the note by 1/2 step. In this case, this note B gets lowered down by 1/2 step. Let's see how this relates to the keyboard. Note that the white keys on this keyboard diagram have letter names, C, D, E, F, and G, but note that the black notes do not have letter names. This is because the black keys are named as either sharps or flats in relation to a neighboring key. For example, this note here straddles both C and D. It therefore has two potential names depending on which direction you approach the note. We can call it C sharp if approaching from below, or we can call it D flat if approaching from above. We call a pitch that can have two or more names enharmonic, spelled this way, enharmonic. Enharmonic means that there are two or more names for one pitch. You'll note in these scales that there is no E sharp between E and F. This isn't because E sharp does not exist. You can have an E sharp, but if you recall from our earlier discussion with the keyboard, there is no black note between E and F. And therefore, if a sharp raises a note by a half step, if I raise E up a half step, that will just raise it to F. That means that E is enharmonic with F. E sharp, is enharmonic with F. You'll note below that there are no C flats and there are no F flats in this example. Once again, this is not because C flat and F flat do not exist, but again, because there is no black note between C and B and F and E, C flat is the same note as B, or C flat is enharmonic with B. And if I flat F, it will be the same as E. So F flat is enharmonic with E. Let's understand how all of the black notes can have two enharmonic names. This note here straddles both C and D, and therefore has the names C sharp or D flat. This note here straddles D and E, and can therefore be called D sharp or E flat. This note here straddles F and G, and can therefore be called F sharp or G flat. This note here straddles both G and A, and therefore can be called G sharp or A flat. This note here straddles both A and B, and therefore can be called A sharp or B flat. This describes the basic relation between sharps and flats and their use in the piano keyboard.